Hey guys, it's Leah and welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's video, I will be doing a match preview for Barca versus Las Palmas, which will be played tomorrow. So let's get into it. So let's start with the obvious, that being that this is the first game back for Barcelona after international break. And that does cause concern considering the fact that Barcelona do have a tendency to underperform after international break. And considering the amount of points Barcelona have dropped in the league already, they just do not have the leeway room that they had last season. So every game now is a must-win game, and Barcelona have to go into every game 100%. And that's very difficult to do after international break for most teams. Barca has been pretty lucky this international break. None of their players have gotten injured while on international duty, and that's great considering that a lot of us Barca fans, including myself, hold our breaths during international break because there just seems to be some sort of curse that happens when players go on international break and continuously get injured. However, as Barca manager, Xavi does have difficult decisions to make ahead. Obviously, we're hitting the final stretch of the season, and Barcelona's schedule is not looking any easier. The next few games ahead are going to be difficult for the team, and they're playing so many games all in the next, few weeks. So it's going to be a difficult time for Barcelona. And for the players that just returned from their national teams, they're going to be tired. They're going to want rest. So Xavi is going to have to rotate, players, but he's also going to have to put his best foot forward in those matches, and that's going to be difficult to do. I also did want to mention that there was a scare in training today where Ter Stegen, it looked like he took a hit to his knee, but it seems like it was just a scare, and then he was, training as usual. So at least us Barcelona fans could be more calm in terms of that. It's important to note that Barcelona are still without the likes of Frankie and Pedri because of injury, and obviously Gavi and Balde are out for the remainder of the season because their injuries are far more severe. We already know that. Then you have Araujo, who was doing individual training the other day. It does seem like he was doing some of the team training today, but obviously you don't want to push it with Araujo. He's way too important to risk. And then there's conversation about Lewandowski surrounding the fact that, with Poland when he played, he felt some discomfort. So obviously Xavi may not want to start him because he is more important for that, PSG first leg. But what we do know 100% is that Christensen is also 100% out for the Las Palmas game because he's still facing discomfort in his Achilles. And obviously, you don't want to push it with him, especially when it comes to the Achilles. So that is something that may worry a lot of Barcelona fans, including myself, because Christensen has been crucial for that pivot role for Barcelona, and he has definitely helped fill in that gap that was left with the departure of Busquets last season. Now, putting that aside, let's talk about how Barcelona did against Las Palmas in the away match against them back in January. So obviously, we know that the scoreline of that match ended 1-2 in Barca's favor, but that game was so far from perfect for Barcelona. That first half was terrible. It was embarrassing. There was no passion. The mentality of the team was off. They looked shaky. They were sloppy. And because of that, Las Palmas was able to get the first goal in. The way Las Palmas played that match was using a high line. And that obviously frustrated Barcelona a lot because they got into that offside trap that Las Palmas set a huge amount during that match. And it was frustrating when you saw players like Lewandowski and Rafinha who were just obviously standing in an offside position and they just couldn't read that line whatsoever. And then it got even more frustrating when you have Xavi that's literally screaming at the players on the sidelines, telling them that you're not going to be able to go around the Las Palmas defense. You have to go over them and make those passes above the Las Palmas defense. And it just seemed like the players just weren't listening to Xavi whatsoever during that match. Now, in the second half, things did look slightly better for Barcelona. You had Rafinha, who was making more of those runs on the wing, and they were good runs, but again, way too many offsides at that moment. And then you have Ferran, who didn't look as good in the first half, a little bit disconnected, but in the second half, he did end up scoring the equalizer, and he definitely looked more alive compared to the other front too. Now, I will say Gundo did not have the best game against Las Palmas. He couldn't really offer a spark, and Las Palmas did a very good job at, keeping him at bay. However, he did score the winner for Barcelona with a penalty. Now, this game was also the game that Vitor Roque made his debut for Barcelona. He came out as a substitute and almost scored right away. I think this game showed that he has a lot of potential and could do great things at Barcelona. He definitely brought a lot of energy to that field. And just in general, like, he is a player that does do well when he can make those runs behind, the defense. So I definitely think this was a good game from him considering it was his debut. Fermin Lopez was also a substitute for this game, and he brought on more energy to that midfield that Barcelona definitely lacked without him on the field. I would say that in this particular match, Frankie was the best, player for Barcelona. He stopped the counterattack of Las Palmas when necessary, and he was constantly pressing up and trying to help in the final third. However, Barcelona are going to be without Frankie for this upcoming match, so other players do need to step up in this case scenario. Now, lately, Las Palmas hasn't been doing so great in the league, coming off of 2 losses most recently, while Barcelona has, more momentum considering that their last 2 games have went much better. But again, Barcelona cannot be going into that game way too confident because international break does have the potential to break everything apart. Now, Barcelona do have a player currently on loan at Las Palmas, Julian Araujo. However, he is dealing with a hamstring injury right now, and he wouldn't even be able to play even if he was healthy because of that clause that Barcelona includes with their loanees that discusses that they cannot play against their parent club. I expect Las Palmas to keep a high line again against Barcelona, and in that case scenario, Barcelona have to do the exact same thing that they did against Atletico Madrid and even against Napoli in the Champions League round of 16 leg 2 match. And that means that Barcelona have to continue pressing and just, be calm and just be patient. Because as soon as Barcelona try to rush, that's when they get sloppy and lose the ball way too much with their sloppy passes. Barcelona has to make more of those forward runs, and they also have to make more of those long passes because those short passes may not work out because of Las Palmas having a high line like that. So what Barcelona definitely need to do is be more direct. That is something that we saw Barcelona do against Atletico Madrid, and it did work to their favor. So they do have to do the exact same thing against Las Palmas, because if they continue going around in circles and just passing without a purpose, then they're not going to win this match. That being said, it's hard to use the game against Atletico Madrid as a guideline because I feel like a lot of the players that played that match probably are going to be rested because Barcelona need them to be healthy for the match against PSG. So it's hard to say like what decisions Xavi will make when it comes to that starting 11. Speaking of the starting 11, let's talk about it. So at first we have Ter Stegen at goal because it does seem like he's 100% fit and ready. So obviously him being the first goalkeeper, he should definitely start against Las Palmas. Now, the defense does raise some question marks because you do want to rest like players like Araujo, and obviously Koundé did have like some kind of knock against France, but he's also 100% fit and healthy. But also, do you really want to risk it right before the PSG match? So for that reason, I would say you would rest Araujo, have Kubarse on the left, put Inigo Martinez on the right because he does offer that aggressiveness that Araujo has. And then you could put Koundé on the right because I think we have no choice but to play Koundé at this point. And then you put Cancelo on the left. Now, I do see it being possible that Xavi does put Hector Fort on the right to give Koundé some rest. Now the midfield. Now for the midfield, there are a lot of question marks as well. Obviously, Pedri and Frankie are injured, and then you have Christensen that has that Achilles pain going on. So those players are definitely out for this match. So that does limit Barcelona with the options they have. Now you are basically left with Gundogan, Fermin, Sergi Roberto, and Oriol Ramu. And then for that reason, it becomes complicated because I would start Gundogan because Gundogan has been so important for Barcelona, one of their best players this season, probably the signing of the season for Barcelona. But he's been playing nonstop with Barcelona and Germany, and I do think he needs to rest before that PSG match. So for that reason, I would rather rest him than see him start in the game. And that leaves Barcelona with only Oriol Ramu, Fermin Lopez, and Sergi Roberto. Those are the only first team midfielders that Barcelona technically have if they do end up resting Gundogan. And I'm okay with Sergi Roberto starting because I do think that last time they played against Las Palmas, he had a good game. He made that difference, being able to make those runs properly without being offside. So he did have a great game against Las Palmas last time. And then Fermin Lopez does provide that energy, and he's not afraid to shoot outside the box, which I do appreciate. Now, in regards to Oria Ramu, he does worry me because he doesn't do well when a team picks up their intensity because he doesn't have the pace to match that. So, for that reason, I wouldn't mind to see 20-year-old Marc Casado starting in that pivot position. Obviously, he made his debut most recently in La Liga for Barcelona, and I think he did a pretty decent job. Now, I don't expect his performance to be perfect, but Marc Casado knows how to press and he knows how to make those long balls, so I do think that he would be good for the game against Las Palmas. Now, up next, we have the attack, and I think for this particular match, Vitor Roque should start as the striker for Barcelona, considering Lewandowski did have some discomfort, and I do feel like this is a game where Vitor Roque will do pretty well in. And also, in addition to that, I feel like Varane should be also starting in this match. Usually, when a player returns from injury, like Varane is doing right now, I would say it's better to have them come on as a substitute. But in Varane's case, he has been already training during international break, as soon as he returned from that injury. So I think he should be fine to start the match. Now it's about where to place Varane because Varane really could play at any point in that front three. He could play on the left, he could play on the right, he could play on the middle. So I would say place Varane on the left, give João Felix rest. Now for that right-hand side, I would put Rafinha just so we could rest Lamine Yamal. He's 16 years old. He played, many minutes with Spain, so it's best to rest him. I would put Rafinha on the right-hand side because Rafinha does work hard and he does make good runs. I just feel like when he overcomplicates stuff, that's when we can't get the best out of him. Now I will say that a player I would love to see play this match is 19-year-old Mikayil Faye. He recently made his international debut with Senegal and scored a great goal at that. For those that don't know, he is a defender, and I feel like because Barcelona have to rest a good amount of their defenders because they overplayed with like international break and everything like that, and some may be suffering with discomfort, it is a good idea to potentially sub on Faye if needed. And he did do some training with the first team, so I do feel like Xavi is probably contemplating that right now. Now, looking into this match, we must also remember that due to Xavi's red card against Atletico Madrid, he won't be on the sidelines for this match or the next match in La Liga, so his brother will be taking over on the sideline. My prediction for this match is it ending 2-1, just like it did before for Barcelona. I feel like there may be a slip up and they may concede, but I do feel confident that they are fully capable of scoring 2 goals when necessary. Anyways, guys, that is the end of this YouTube video. Be sure to leave a like and also subscribe to the channel. Be sure to also comment your thoughts on the upcoming match and leave your score prediction in the comment section as well. Be sure to follow me on all my social media, which is simply liabinkin, on my Instagram, on my X page, and also my TikTok. And as always, I will be posting a match review on my TikTok page after the match. So be sure to check that out once it's posted. And yeah, bye guys.